Hello, internet friends. My name is Bay, and welcome to the Brewmaster Monk's first pass during the Battle for Azeroth Alpha. And you can see the duration of this video, as I can't, as we get stomped on by a Colossus walking around. And this may be a short video, as I sit here right now in the present, recording it. The Brewmaster Monk has a lot of tweaking and balanced and update changes, and I'll go over many of those. There might not be a lot of gameplay in this video because it's just a Brewmaster Monk, and baseline Brewmaster Monk is literally the same as it is on live, barring no exploding keg. Unfortunately, maybe it'll become a talent. Who knows? Exploding keg was very, very powerful and almost abusable in some places, but right now, no exploding keg. I'm sorry, it doesn't exist anywhere. But overall, the Brewmaster Monk still is a Brewmaster Monk. There is a discussion that came up during the testing stream today about how Brewmaster currently looks too powerful due to stagger has to be either really good, so you care about it, so that purifying brew matters, or it'll be too weak like it used to be and didn't do much, and all you cared about was just dodging everything or you died. So the current state with stagger is up for the devs to figure that out and where it is balanced, because it has seen slight adjustments, but more on all of that, of course, as we break everything down. Pop that spellbook open. Let me grab my notes here and bring those over, and let's read off what the sort of baseline updates to the spec overall have seen. So the biggest one right out of the gate is that you're still not going to care about haste. You're just not. There is no main benefit to haste after a certain point, to that 14.3% that gives you the 7-second keg smash, I was told, is still very much that moment. But after that, there really isn't a whole lot that will matter for your haste amount. So outside of that, not very powerful. Sure, there's energy regeneration involved and other little ties to that, but outside of that moment, you don't want a faster global because Blackout Strike is still on that 3-second locked window. So you're very much doing a Blackout Strike, 2 globals, Blackout Strike, 2 globals. And the Brewmaster Monk is locked to the 1-second global, just like the Windwalker Monk is, just like Rogue, just like Feral Druid. So haste won't scale your global cooldown at all. There's obviously still going to be haste scaling with your brews. There is haste scaling with your energy regeneration to use more Tiger Palms. There is haste scaling with just, I guess, auto attack speed. But Breath of Fire is locked at 15 seconds. Blackout Strike locked at 3 seconds. So the only thing that scales down with haste is Keg Smash. And if you make it too fast, you can't use it as the Blackout Strike something something, Blackout Strike something something, which is the core rotation of how the Brewmaster Monk A, deals damage, B, reduces the cooldown of their brews, and C, helps mitigate everything overall. So we'll see how that works out. And I want to show this off right here at the beginning as well. So Fuzan and the updates to the Transmog are starting to happen. But the Transmog stuff right now is that you could actually Transmog to literally any staff in the game. So you can actually click the Transmog, go to your staff, and be like, oh, I want Ebon Chill right now. You know, why not? I'll take some Aluneth too. How about some Light's Wrath? That's not, that's not intentional. They're putting it all in right now, and it's not totally worked out right now. But if you notice, the way that Fuzan holds on your shoulder, that you have to use Fuzan in a way that is one of the skins or the base model, because if you use any other staff, it goes back to the regular staff holding. So that is still very much the case. You're not going to be using anything besides a two-hander, but if you do want the Fuzan stance and the over-the-shoulder staff stance, you need to use any of the transmogs of your wandering, what's it called again? Yeah, the wanderers, sorry, companion. That is still there. But the Brewmaster Monk is still the Brewmaster Monk. You drink purifying brew, you reduce your brew cooldowns, and you try not to die when things want to kill you with stagger. And there you go. I'm noticing right now that for some reason my stagger bar is not loading on the alpha. That is curious. it's supposed to load below your character panel. I mean, you still get the light stagger buff in the corner here and all that good stuff, but the stagger bar broke. Did something happen in the couple of hours I haven't been playing the alpha? Maybe. Granted, if you're an actual Brewmaster Monk, you're going to have probably a stagger weak aura or a tell me when or something that shows you a little more tactile information than the actual little debuff you get that's green, yellow, and red. So, but the overall rotation is the same. And how you do things will remain the same because that hasn't really seen any updates. Your talents have some updates to them, which of course we'll look at. But yeah, you're still doing all the animations with the Blackout Strike like that if you use it properly with a Fuzan Transmog. Otherwise, it's still Brewmaster Monk. Nothing revolutionary has changed. Some of the other things that have changed is the Stagger's magic damage reduction is now 20% base, reduced from 40. So the problem with this too, we talked about Stagger for a lot at the beginning of the testing broadcast, and then closer towards the end of it when we had all the rants about how it's too powerful or it's too weak or whatever. So you delay 40% of incoming physical damage. Now, 40% is your stagger amount, essentially. So magical stagger is 20% of the 40, which is 8. And then if you couple that with talents such as Mystic Vitality, which is 40% more effective, that makes your magic stagger up to 28%. That's 28% of 40. And then coupled with High Tolerance, that's 28% of 50. That's how that works. I originally thought that you delayed 50% physical and 28% magic, but no, that's apparently too powerful. Oh boy, too powerful, right? But you could still use an Iron Skin Brew and High Tolerance, and you're at 80%. The tooltip does not update, but you're 80% stagger towards physical damage. Only 20% hits your face. And that comes back down to the discussion we had about, is it too powerful? Or if it has to be too powerful, then Purifying Brew has to, blah, 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 all this stuff. That's like half an hour in the VOD if you want to watch that. So if you want all the VOD stuff, if you want to keep up to date with all the first pass look, second pass look in the future, then you can subscribe right here to the YouTube channel. It's not your first rodeo. Hit that button. You can go subscribe or follow the Twitch channel where all the testing happens. And you go check me out on Twitter and ask me any questions you may have, or check out my Discord channel down below as well and keep up to date with all the stuff that I'm posting and all the inner community works and stuff like that if you'd like to. Links are all down below in the video description box. It's not your, come on, you know what to do. If you like this, then hit the buttons. So Iron Skin Brew duration has been reduced by 2 seconds because of the loss of the artifact, so it only lasts for 6 seconds base now. You're also seeing a cooldown reduction change. So the cooldown reduction now on live, it's 21 seconds. Now it is 16 seconds for both Brew, Iron Skin, and Purifying Brew baseline. Reduced by haste, of course. The Iron Skin Brew mitigation now is only 30% additional, which is down from 35, and then your artifact stuff on live. Purifying Brew was bumped up to 50%, up from 40%, so now Purifying Brew is slightly stronger, and because you have the reduced cooldown baseline, but it counteracts the fact that it lasts less time, especially on Iron Skin Brew, but you can do it more often. They want you to care about your brew, especially Purifying Brew, more often to weave it into your rotation more readily than you do on live right now, where you purify sometimes, but Brewmaster Monks in the comment section, let me know how often do you really purify or where do you Purifying Brew. They want to change the damage plateau, maybe in the magic realm, that you want to stagger what you can and purify more aggressively than you do now. Those are all of the Iron Skin Brew, Purifying Brew updates. You see Leg Sweep has been made baseline, same with the Windwalker Monk. It's a 1-minute cooldown, up from 45 seconds, and the duration on the stun is only 3 seconds, down from 5 seconds. This is to go along with the overall toolkit utility stun slow CC game that is all being squished as well as the game is. Paralysis also has a 1-minute cooldown now, which has a 15-second cooldown on live. It's kind of used as like a micro stun interrupt as well. which they don't want to happen, obviously. And it still does what it's supposed to do. But now if someone breaks your paralysis, you're out the cooldown for way longer than you're used to. So keep that in mind so people don't derp on the cooldown. And your mastery update. So you have elusive brawler still. I almost stumbled over that word a little bit there. It removes the breath of fire interaction. So you will only gain the dodge stack when you get hit by a melee attack. You gain a stack. It also does it when you hit a blackout strike. You gain a stack. It stacks to 100 if you ever wanted to look at that. So you'll have over 3,000+% dodge with this current mastery. It's kind of weird that it stacks forever, basically. That also increases your attack power at the exact same percentage, which of course will affect your healing, your damage, and everything else in between. That is how that works. But it doesn't brew Breath of Fire anymore, so you cannot get 2 stacks back-to-back if you use a Blackout Strike Breath of Fire. But Breath of Fire has the Hot-Blooded Artifact trait rolled in baseline. That is the 5% reduced damage that you take from all things that are currently burning for 12 seconds by 5%. It's a little bit stronger in Legion, but remember, number squish, right? All the number squish goes down, but that is rolled in baseline to Breath of Fire. And this has almost 100% uptime, but it's not incredibly valuable unless you're doing huge packs of mob, because the 5%, I was told, is not super impactful because of how powerful Stagger is, right? So it's not a huge deal, but it is. That's probably why a slight change happened. That Breath of Fire has its thing, Blackout Strike has its thing, giving you a stack of Elusive Brew, or Elusive Brawler, rather, and then you have the passive effect of when you get hit, you can get the stack of dodge. Black Ox Brew, as many of you use right now on live, is not currently on the global cooldown, which many of you may be scared to think about because a lot of things are going on the cooldown, and that is not yet on the global cooldown. So you can still use that to refill all of your energy and your Iron Skin Brew and Purifying Brew charges, if you are familiar with that. And of course, it is a brew, so the brew synergies that you still have with hitting Keg Smash, the 4 seconds, and the Tiger Palm 1 second, those still work just the same. And yeah, that's the only big changes baseline other than more of the CC cutbacks. Your Keg Smash is a 20% movement snare now, down from a 50. Your only large snare is now tied to Special Delivery, which does not work on target dummies, I found out today. But Special Delivery's version of the exploding, the keg smash effect, when you throw the keg in the air and it comes back down, is a 50% snare. So that's where your big kiting snare is if you need to kite something, which we do it on the Testing VOD, where we figure that out, and there is a minimum range for it as well. You need to be on the threat table with something. That's why it doesn't work on dummies. I do believe it works on the tanking dummy, but I will actually double check that right now, because it works on the hippos, and I could kite the hippo around forever, and it didn't matter. Yeah, it works on this one, because it actually is attacking you. Yeah. They fly down. The Keg Smash, 20%, and the Special Delivery, 50%, won't stack in any way. Oh, there's my stagger bar. It came back. Woohoo! The larger snare, the 50% from Special Delivery, will be the one that will apply and override the 20. Most likely, I'm going to imagine. That's how that works. There's not going to be an additive or multiplicative stacking of slows, we don't think, because that would kind of defeat the purpose of the whole scaling back on slows, snares, stuns, etc. That is that. And that's everything baseline that we found that has changed. Everything else is nearly the same, except for the stagger stuff, which the high tolerance works. But again, the haste amount for high tolerance is not really necessary, because you don't need haste, like I opened the video with. You don't really care about that much haste, which is unfortunate. It does sort of impact Fortifying Brew because of the slight change to stagger. That still means that in Iron Skin Brew, Fortifying Brew, you're at 90% stagger. So that's still amazing. And of course, it still acts like a brew, so it still gets reduced in cooldowns. That all still works the same as it does on live. Expel Harm is somewhat heavily nerfed because your Gift of the Ox orbs now are really weak. They are incredibly weak compared to live, but that's because of health pools are different. But we'll have to see how this scales when we're actually 120 and actually in the new BFA gear. Because right now you see I have 23,000 HP. A Gift of the Ox Orb is 1,300. It's less than 10% of your HP. It's very, very, very weak. And the ridiculous math behind how Gift of the Ox works with being 100% of your HP per orb pre any mitigation factored into the back end, and then Gift of the Mists is still that maddening extra 75% increased chance, but it's based on missing health, but that's not the right tooltip because it's not how it actually works. It actually shrinks the accordion of how much damage you have to actually take per your full HP bar to a smaller amount to proc an orb. That's why you can use Gift of the Mist and Gift of the Ox and get hit by a large attack that before mitigation would destroy you, but after mitigation it spawns 2 or 3 orbs. It's whatever. It's just, these tooltips need to be updated. I put like a paragraph in my notes about Gift of the Ox and Gift of the Mist and Stagger, so we'll see if those get updated. Mystic Touch, if you don't know what this is coming to for all of the monks, is that all 3 monk specs put a debuff on the target that increases all physical damage they take by 5%. That lasts essentially forever as long as you keep attacking the target. It's only physical damage. Demon Hunters have the same thing for magic damage. This doesn't help Brewmaster as much due to the fact that you did lose, at least for the overall scaling, right? Your facepalm relics are obviously gone. The facepalm perk from your artifact from Fuzan is gone. So the amount of spamming ridiculous tiger palms, especially in the blackout combo window, is also most likely very gone. Blackout combo was also actually nerfed slightly, that the damage amp on the tiger palm follow-up is only 100%, not 200%. So the loss of facepalm and the loss of an extra 100% damage from blackout combo may not change much, but may change how often you spam only Tiger Palm in the Blackout combo window. But there's also a big hope and a feedback going on that Blackout combo should be integrated baseline and have no DPS direct increasing abilities, and just put a DPS oriented talent here, because Blackout combo has a lot of neat interactions. With the fact of the matter is that after tanks don't need to live, and once all tanks can figure out how to not die, then all you care about is damage. So all you'll care about is trying to maximize your DPS, which is a trait to do eventually, but it is a little bit strange that that's the main use of this talent, which also has so many other uses for survivability and defensiveness and all that kind of good stuff, but it just never gets used. It's unfortunate, right? It's just how it is. Everything else remains the same outside of notable. The Transcendence Transfer has a 20-second increased cooldown. That's across all monks. And that is the core changes. You can see everything else is unchanged. Your Celestial Fortune is still the 65%. This is still a ridiculous problem with Brewmaster Monk, how they scale in group content, how they barely gain much benefit in... they scale ridiculously in raid content because of how much healing is involved. They don't scale very well in group content because they only have 1 healer. And you scale really poorly in open world content where you feel like less of a tank because you take so much damage and you can't really use anything to do anything about it. You can take healing elixir, I guess, but that's all you can really do because your self-healing is garbage. Other tanks can pull like 20 mobs and be like, what's this? I'm a prot warrior. Blah. And you do that on a Brewmaster Monk, and your slider goes, woo! And you can keep cleansing it, but your base incoming damage will just keep going up, and you can't stop the bleeding, essentially, because your self-healing is not very good. So we'll see if that gets adjusted. That was actually something that came up at the end of the VOD, too, and how the Brewmaster feels way powerful in raids and very meh in solo play. Other than that, you still have your Brewmaster's balance, which is 25% base armor. And everything else remains the same. I was told that Invoke Nizao is still your best single target talent. Rushing Jade Wind is the regular version for the Brewmaster. It's not the weird new Breath of Syndragosa style for the Windwalker. Brewmaster still has the just hit it on cooldown, it does damage AoE. That's it. It makes the rotation feel good because it gives you the extra GCD to hit. Right? It's the blackout strike something something. So when you have something something to hit, you don't have to hit Tiger Palm, you would Blackout Strike, Tiger Palm, Rushing Jade Wind. That's still there. So Windwalker gains Ring of Peace baseline, but because you also have gained Leg Sweep baseline, you can still talent and you summon Black Ox Statue and Ring of Peace. But you have Tiger Tail Sweep, which is just super leg sweep, which gives you 2 more yards on the affected AoE area and reduces the cooldown by 10 seconds. That's a slight bonus to having a larger and more often available AoE stun, which may or may not come into power. Overall, it feels like it's not strong enough just yet. The extra taunt and the ability to have an AoE taunt, only the Prot Paladin is the only other tank in the game that has an AoE taunt talent, I believe. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments down below. But the Black Ox Statue is really powerful in that AoE mob pickup style. No one else can do that. So utilizing... There was a comment that came up that what is Brewmaster Monk AoE tanking like? Because of obviously the cooldown of Breath of Fire and the cooldown of Keg Smash. If you don't take Rushing Jade Wind, you obviously have Special Delivery that are both AoE oriented. Or you just plop the Ox Statue and taunt it because it AoE taunts. And that is still there. Everything else remains unchanged. Chi Burst has a neat builder for Chi for the Windwalker, but of course doesn't have anything for the Brewmaster. But Chi Wave, Eye of the Tiger all remain the same. Eye of the Tiger can still Celestial Fortune. That is all the same. Elusive Dance still has the dodge and damage amp based on stagger cleared. And it does buff Purifying Brew to 70% instead of the baseline 50, of course. So that makes Purifying Brew ridiculously powerful against possible trying to do magic damage purifies. The problem is that you only purify, you only stagger so much magic damage, right? You only stagger 10% with high tolerance and less than that without it. So, but Missing Vitality obviously changes because 28% to 40. So it's still really, really, really small. You're still going to get crushed by magic damage depending on how the magic damage modifiers in the game work. But obviously, when you Iron Skin Brew, you go up to 70% or 80%. So then you'll be able to actually work on some magic damage, but you can't high tolerance with Elusive Dance. So does Elusive Dance work better with magic damage by itself with just Iron Skin Brew windows? Or is there some other combo that you'll figure out that's better for combating possible magic damage? The other change to make note of, which I was told still is not good enough, is light brewing. Because of the brew reductions, and we're talking about brews here and dealing with magic damage and physical damage, whatever, you can now reduce your cooldowns even more with light brewing, because it reduces cooldowns by 3 seconds again and gives you the 4 charges. Now that's going to be probably around 11 or 12 seconds when you have the only 14-ish% haste that you want, ideally. But I was told that's still not as good as Black Ox Brew, because Black Ox Brew still gets reduced in cooldown by Tiger Palms and Keg Smashes. So this is still better because the on-demand burstable control of having 6 brews is better than the passive, more often use of 4. But that's, of course, a playstyle thing, too, and I'm not a Brewmaster Monk main. The only monk that I've played is my little Mistweaver. But other than that, that is the Brewmaster Monk. Nothing else has changed drastically. Let me know what your thoughts are and what you think should change, because I'm going to be collecting feedback. If you have any good suggestions, I'll put those in my notes to send over to the boys in blue. Blizzard, not the police or whatever that stupid meme is. Or it's like the military. I don't know. I'm older now. What are memes? Let me know what those are in the comments as well. Let me know. I need to know. You know, let me know. So, but give me your thoughts on the Brewmaster Monk. Give me your feedback. Subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up to date with all the first and second pass testing yet to come. We have Islands Adventures on the horizon, dungeons, and hopefully Warfronts. If this is your first time listening to any of these videos, I will be attending PAX East 2018, and I'll be streaming from there. We may have something special because Blizzard is actually at PAX for World of Warcraft and StarCraft mostly. But we'll see if that's something that's coming up. And we'll see if we have, I don't know, Warfronts or a beta launch date or some new feature or something or other. Or just, I'll stream the alpha for 4 hours and run around in Quest. Like, I don't know. We'll do some islands. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Thank you very much for watching. We have the Mistweaver Monk next. And then we have Priest following up. That's the Brewmaster. That's it. Everyone go have a drink.